I also think that I was a bit scared because I didn't know how franchise films worked. When it's not a sequel, I didn't quite.
But when was that last time you felt like, oh my god, why am I part of this?
I think it happened a couple of years ago when I was working on something, and honestly, it was something that I had said yes to during the pandemic. But I have to say that, when it happened to me also, I wasn't aware that I wasn't being taken care of. And that was a big lesson for me. I only look within to see how I'm feeling on a particular day. Because I think on a regular basis, all our bodies are changing and women's bodies are anyway changing.
Ami je tomar.
Oh,
Ami je tomar, Vidya Balan. Hi, this is Bhavna and you're watching India Today. Well, today I'm joined by someone who can enchant you with her smile and laughter and can enchant you on screen with her marvelous performance. Yes, I'm talking about Vidya Balan, जिसे देखकर आजकल सिर्फ यही कहने का मन करता है, आमी जे तुम्हार. आमी जे तुम्हार, Vidya Balan. Welcome to India Today.
How are you? I'm very good, Bhavna. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad you're twinning.
Yeah,
somewhat.
exactly.
So
You're looking
amazing.
lovely.
Thank you. You look lovely always.
Oh,
and
thank
you know that.
you.
But also, firstly, a huge congratulations. I'm not surprised by the success of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3. I think I had made it very clear that one of my major reasons to go and watch this film will be Vidya Balan.
Oh.
And I'm so glad that I wasn't disappointed.
Thank
but
you.
Tell me something. I'm sure you knew that this will do this bigger business at the box office and you will get love because you have always gotten that love. But do you ever get used to it as an actress? Because you know it is going to come, but the way it is coming is immense.
I'd say that I had a feeling this film is going to do well, that people are going to love this film because it's a family entertainer, and it's so funny. I remember that when I liked the script last year, around this time, I liked the script after 2.5 years, Bhavna. Because on the page itself, it was very funny, it was wholesome. And then I knew you had Anis Bhai directing it. His films are all memorable because they're de-stressors. So I said, okay, great. So I had a feeling, but this is not something I ever take for granted. Because, sometimes people enjoy the film. People are excited to watch a film, but habits have also changed. Yeah. So now they're being very prudent about the kind of film they want to go and watch in the theatre. I did feel that they'd come and watch Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3. But it's not something I ever take for granted. Also, I was coming back to this franchise after 17 years, and there's been so much excitement about it from the time it was announced. So I felt wonderful about that. But again, I don't think I can take anything for granted. I don't.
And that is why, the reason that you never take this love for granted results in the kind of films that you're doing, because I recently met Bhushan sir and he said that he had also approached you for the second film.
Right.
But because at that point you weren't convinced about the script as much, you decided not to do it. And I think not many people can say that.
I also think that I was a bit scared because I didn't know how franchise films worked. When it's not a sequel, I didn't quite, of course you watched other Marvel franchise films and all, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it, so I felt like, oh God, Bhool Bhulaiyaa has given me so much, I don't want to squander it away. But I have to say, when I watched the trailer of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2, I said, oh, acha. And then of course I watched and enjoyed the film. And then slowly we started seeing other franchise films also. So I think by now I was ready to do Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3. But yes, I am. I feel that, I try and give my 200% to anything I do. And then there are times when you feel like, oh, but why did I choose to do this in the first place? Because I feel like, through the process, you begin to feel a bit like... I feel over the years, I've become very sure about the fact that if something does not compel me to give my 200%, it's not worth doing. So which is why, but I think everything in divine time, things happen exactly the way they're meant to. I was meant to be part of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3.
So glad.
Yeah. And Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 was a great success, and which is why 3 got made, and I'm here. So I think everything happens for a reason, and a beautiful one in that.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, there are certain films which during the process only you realize that maybe I shouldn't have
Yeah.
said yes to it. I know for the past few films, I mean few years especially, the body of work that you have had is so good. But when was that last time you felt like, oh my God, why am I part of this? We will not name films if you
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to,
yeah.
but like why? When
Yeah.
was that last time?
I think it happened a couple of years ago when I was working on something, and honestly, it was something that I had said yes to during the pandemic when I was in a different frame of mind.
Correct.
By the time the film happened, I think all of us had moved on, but we were sticking to a commitment because we had said yes. And I think that showed in the film.
Yeah, happens.
So I feel that, there are times when you have to make brutal decisions. You have to say, okay, I said yes to it, but now I'm feeling differently. Because, it might cause some heartburn, maybe even some losses because some investment has gone into it. But I think in the long run, at least the film you make will be more honest. The process of making that film was not a joyful one for me. And I think when I watched the film, that's what I felt. I felt the disconnect that all of us felt while making the film. I feel then it's not worth it. Yeah. If nothing else, like, Do Aur Do Pyar has brought me so much love from the people who watched it. Yeah. So that's a film that I feel that it's okay. I didn't do as well commercially, but it doesn't matter. This is a film for the ages.
I have watched it twice.
Oh, yeah?
I loved it so much.
Oh, thank you.
I remember recommending it to everyone because I feel films like those need to be seen more.
Right.
Because only then actors will be
Yeah.
emboldened to take those chances.
Yeah, right.
But I'm so glad it got all the love that it deserved.
I hope
Wonderful.
through the years it gets more and more love. I think it deserves to be.
You never know. 5 years down the line, people will call it a cult film.
Who knows?
There
Why
have
not?
been films which didn't work back then, but now we call it cult. So
Yeah, yeah.
it is one of those films, according to me, a path-breaking one. But also, because there was a 17-year gap between Bhool Bhulaiyaa 1 and this, and the character that you play has also changed in ways.
Of course.
I want to know your process as an actor. Are you someone who completely surrenders to the director's vision, but not submit to the director's vision? Or are you someone, because I've seen actors who say that I marry the director in my head, like there is a marriage that happens wherein you completely submit yourself to the vision. Ab wo chahe kuch bhi karwa le, you will do it without any question asked. How are you as an actor on set?
No, I think I ask my questions beforehand so that I don't waste time on set.
Yeah.
But then I completely surrender to the director. I think because it is a director's vision that we are living out in the film. So, we have to be able to, if you're not able to see a scene or the character the way the director has, either then you don't do it or then you buy into that vision.
Correct.
One of the two has to happen. And I feel that in the overall scheme of things, I finally surrendered to the director's vision. Absolutely. Yeah. I am a director's actor.
No, why I asked this is because like your character has so many different shades to her, right? Like, because also by the end we understand why she is behaving a certain way. Yeah. Because in the beginning you're just like, why? And then you finally get the answers. But also these characters can go anywhere if not handled with care. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask, like, what this kind of discussions did you have with Anis sir, where you're like, where can I take Malika as a character? To what extent can she be the way she is? Because eventually everything has to make sense by the end of it.
I normally sit with my directors. I spend time with them discussing the script and everything. Anis Bhai is not that sort of director. He believes in spontaneity and he trusts his actors immensely. So I've worked with a few directors like that before, but I would say that Anis Bhai just knows how to get what he is looking for in a scene out of the actors. He knows how to do it. So I went and met him once and he said, what do you want to do? Do you want to read scenes? I said, what do you normally do? He said, nothing. Okay. I said, then I will do nothing. It's also nice for me as an actor not to be rigid in my ways, to be able to adapt to the styles of different directors. Yeah. Of course, if I'm not comfortable on a particular thing, then I feel I should, tell the director, and I have, where I've said that, no, but I really need to have some time with you. But here, I felt like I should just go with his process. Yeah. you know, and we just landed up on set. He would take us through the scene just before we shot it, and if you were doing something and he thought you should maybe, you know, t- turn it up a bit or um, bring it a notch lower, then he would come and tell you that. But otherwise, I think
you did fabulously
you.
well on
Thank
screen.
you.
Let me just tell you that, because the moment I watched, I was like, oh my god. Especially the moment the interval ends and then we have you and Madhuri ji on screen, and I think you all just lit up the theaters.
Oh, thank
for me.
you.
But I also know it was a huge thing for you as well, just because you know that Madhuri ji is a trained dancer.
Trained,
But
and she is dance.
yeah, and for you to match that, like literally go head to head with her, I think that was wonderful. But I know it's not easy with the other way you've pulled it off.
Yeah, you know, I'm not a dancer. Bhavna, I always say this, I'm not a natural born dancer. I don't see myself as a dancer. So if I have to dance, then I need rehearsal. And especially with a classical form, which is more structured in a sense, especially with, you know, Bharatnatyam, and I just felt that I needed to give it time, and I was promoting for Do Aur Do Pyar when they threw this at me. And I said, okay, but you have to give me time for rehearsal. But I was promoting the film. So I got a Chinni Prakash, the choreographer, Chinni ji's assistant Monisha, to come from Bangalore and literally trail me whenever I had time in between promotions. If I had an hour, I would go rehearse. If I had half an hour, I would go rehearse. If I had 4 hours, I'd go rehearse. You know, so for those 2 weeks, I think I was spent before the song. It was just crazy because the film released on 19th April and we shot the song from the 24th of April.
Wow.
So it was really insane. But I did my best. I knew that because if I'm sharing the frame with her in dance, that too, then I have to be able to put my best foot forward. And I did. I enjoyed the process. I remember one of the assistants coming to me on the first day and saying, ma'am, you don't look nervous at all. And I said, well, now I'm just going to enjoy it because I've put in the effort. Now I'm going to savor this moment of being able to dance with Madhuri Dixit.
True. But were you at any point, like, you know, are you someone who also goes to the monitor and sees how you have done perform?
I don't watch the monitor
At
all. Because I think what happens is, then I'm focused on how I'm looking.
True.
So I'm not focused on the performance really.
Yeah.
Then it becomes about vanity. So I don't. I work with good directors who I trust. So they do. And my team is,
And you have to eventually, I also believe that you have to trust your director that they will show you and capture you in the most aesthetic way.
Yeah,
possible.
absolutely. And if I don't trust them to do that, I don't work with them.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
has that been a lesson that you learned over the period? Because I'm sure when you're just starting off, although you've started off with really good directors as well.
Yeah.
But also, has there been a case where you were like, okay, I thought I would be positioned or I would be portrayed in a certain way, but you were not happy by the end of it?
Yeah, but I have to say that, when it happened to me also, I wasn't aware that I wasn't being taken care of.
Oh.
And that was a big lesson for me. I think I realized after that, okay, so you have to work with people you trust.
True.
So that, because I'm not in the habit of going to the monitor. I've never been in the habit of going to the monitor. Maybe in my early years when I was working with Pradeep Sarkar, with Dada and Parinita, he would say, come, watch this. But otherwise, I've not really watched the monitor. So, I felt like I want to be focusing on what I'm doing. Yeah. So, if I don't trust the people to do their jobs, if I'm going to have to do everyone's job, then I'll make a one-person film where I'm doing everything. But I'm very fortunate to work with even my team. Yeah. My hairstylist, Shalaka, she's been with me since I started my career. Yeah. Harshal, my makeup artist, has been with me for a long time. My manager, Aditi, has been with me for, I think, 10 years.
I'm sure.
So these are all people, it's like second nature.
Yeah, true. And that is why I think the trust that you show in people and team, and it resonates everything that we see online as well. Because we spoke about vanity, I have to also firstly applaud you for speaking about, you have always spoken about body image issues, because that is one of the things that I connect with you the most, because I have been someone who constantly, it's a work in progress, right? Like I feel you could, one day you feel great and
Yeah.
the other day you could feel like
Absolutely.
really. But I think one of the things that has been most discussed in the last 1 year has been your transformation, and you recently also spoke about it. But does it bother you? Because I feel like whatever a woman does, she's never enough in the eyes of a society. You could be really on the healthier side, they'll say you have to be slim. When you're on the slimmer side, they'll say, oh, but she was good when she had a little bit of weight on her. Like, you're never really enough. As an actor, when you are putting yourself out there, how easy or difficult is it for you to now say that this is enough for me? I am enough.
You know, I came to that point many years ago when actually my body had stopped responding to anything, and this was post the dirty picture. I went through some hormonal issues and for a long time, and whatever I did, I was only swelling up more and more and more. But I told myself I didn't let that hold me down. I didn't let that hold me back. Yeah. I was like, you know, I think I realized that this is a body that's keeping me alive, and I'm only sending it hate because I want it to be what it's not. I think, of course, working with a healer really helped me understand this. I've been working with a healer for the past 13 years. And that's been life-changing because I realized that, you know, it's like, जिस थाली में खाते हो, उसी में छेद करते हो. You know, how am I going to stay alive if not for this body? I started giving gratitude to the body, and my relationship with my body started changing. And my health started improving. Yeah. You know, because I think we don't realize that it's not just exercise and food and sleep and water. It's also the emotions you put into your body. And a large part of the reason I feel we hold on to so much. Sometimes people put on weight because of
stress
fear.
eating. There are so many things, yeah.
And sometimes people share a lot of weight in fear. It could be all of us express things differently, and there is no right or wrong. You know, I think it's impossible to have a yardstick of how to measure bodies. Absolutely. I think there is, but I think it's wrong to have a common yardstick for everyone. Each one of us is an individual. So I think I started embracing my body, which is why throughout whatever fluctuations I've been through, I've embraced myself and put myself out there. Doesn't matter how I was feeling within. And that only helped me accept myself more and more and more. And therefore, when but what was bothering me, I will say, that no matter what I did, my weight was only going up. Yeah. And the more I exercised, the more weight I put on. So when I got in touch with Amura Health, someone my husband was consulting with and had seen great results with, he had done it,
correct,
for other reasons. When I went to them, I had accepted that I'm not going to be able to shed weight. So I didn't go to them to shed weight. Yeah. I went to them to figure out if there was an underlying medical issue, if there were gut-related issues. I would have, acidity very often, severe acidity. And when I went to them, they actually told me, yours is not body fat, it's inflammation. And you'll see that is the first thing that goes. And I said, what rubbish, 20 साल में नहीं हुआ, अभी नहीं होने वाला है. And I was like, it's okay, but I had reached a stage where it wasn't about the weight. Yeah. But thankfully, I came across a life-changing revelation with going to them, because I realized that this is actually inflammation. Yeah. And I was actually with more and more stress in the body. Correct. And the body can get stressed with various things. The body was getting more and more inflamed. So it's been my attitude and my understanding of this has changed. Yeah. The welcome byproduct is that I've been able to shed weight. But I have to say that's not something I was chasing. Yeah. I was happy the way I was.
But that's
I'm happy even today. Yeah. I'm feeling great. I'm able to, now I'm not blaming my food for anything. That's a big change. Previously, whether or not I ate, I thought everything I was doing was wrong.
It's like we say na ki सूंघते ही we feel
Yeah,
like we
I
have
used to
started
feel
to
हवा खा के मैं मोटी हो रही हूँ.
it's
Yeah.
all here. I really want to understand this because this is something which again I deal with. Like mentally, you know now that okay, fine, this is how it is going to be. As long as you know that you're doing it all right, you know this is all going to be perfect. But you know, society has a very weird way of sometimes trying to pull you down. Not maybe directly, but indirectly. They'll be like, "Arey," once they start saying, "Ki, you know, Arey, now that you've lost weight, you're looking good." So suddenly, in your head, you're like, oh my God, if I even put on 1 kilo, I might not look good after that. You know, it just works like that. What do you want to tell? Or are there days where you perhaps subconsciously think like that? And how do you sort of cope up with that?
No, I don't. Because I've been through this process publicly, I don't look to anyone for validation of how. I only look within to see how I'm feeling on a particular day. You know, because I think on a regular basis, all our bodies are changing and women's bodies are anyway changing. So there are times when, you know, I'm feeling lighter, but the scale is showing a higher number. So this has I've realized that there is no math to it, really. It's impossible. You know, you're not going to be able to really arrive at the perfect formula for it. So I just want to be healthy and happy. Some days bigger, some days smaller. Some days more, some days less. Doesn't matter. I want to be focused on being healthy and being happy. That's
but
all.
I want to understand, has the industry also looked at you differently because of that? Because you come with this very unfiltered attitude that this is what you get. You want me to act in a film, great, I can deliver that. But it shouldn't solely be dependent on, unless the script demands that, depend on the body image or the way a heroine is conventionally supposed to look. Recently, have you seen a change where people are not probably, or are there still comments being made within the industry? I don't know if
I don't know if they are, because I think I stopped encouraging any comments about my body a few years ago. And so, you know, now of course lots of people are telling me that, oh, you've shed weight, you've shed weight, you've shed weight. And they say you're looking great, and I say thank you and all that. And I will say that I'm getting offered certain kinds of roles that I wasn't getting offered before. But having said that, I think I'm really grateful for the fact that, I think because I've not seen it as a limitation, there's never been dearth of work.
Yeah.
I remember Zoya Akhtar telling me this. She said, you know, you're a very unique, I don't remember, it's almost like unique case. Because she said, even at your biggest, you look the sexiest.
That's
and I
so
was like,
true.
wow, thank you. She
so
said,
true.
no wonder you continue to play the lead.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, I've held on to that compliment because I'm still trying to understand it fully, but it just sounded great.
Lastly, on an ending note, because we are talking about women again, I want to know in an interview you had mentioned your relationship with money.
Yeah.
That you love money, and I think I applauded sitting in my bedroom because I was like, thank God someone is saying this. But in this industry, when an actress is supposedly asking for a certain amount, because we know the pay parity debate has been going on, I just want to understand, how do you deal with that? Because now you know that this is my worth in the industry, I should and must be paid this much. Do you still have those negotiations where people kind of try to put you down for asking a certain amount, or that doesn't happen?
I don't think anyone's ever...
or they'll question perhaps that why does she want that much?
No one's ever done that, honestly. And I think that, you know, I've been very clear that this is how much I will charge for a film. And if it works out, of course, negotiations happen, you know, because no one pays you the amount you want to. You also start higher so that you can make them feel like you've given them a concession. But that's how we all do it, right?
True.
But having said that, I think I don't think I've allowed anyone the space to question, you know, whether I deserve that. I believe I deserve that, and if you don't, then please don't sign me on. You know, this is a value I bring to the table. This is what I believe. And at the same time, you know, I'm not unrealistic. Because if my film costs a certain amount, I'm not going to ask for that, which a lot of male actors do. They ask for as much money and then they put pressure on the budget of the film. But I'm not doing any of that.
True. Lastly, now I want to know what next for you, Vidya, because I think we have already thoroughly enjoyed you on screen in this part. Would you be also looking? I mean, I know Bhushan sir has said कि कोई script है नहीं अभी तो पता नहीं है fourth part होगा कि नहीं होगा.
Who knows? Let's enjoy the success of this. I hope it keeps going.
It is
from strength
already,
to strength.
already.
Yeah. But I don't know what I'm doing next. As in, I'm in the process of deciding. But I do take my time, so
That,
maybe
please take your time.
Yeah.
We love you for that. That you take your time, but you surprise us with everything.
Thank
that
you
come
so
with.
much.
But thank you so much, Vidya.
Thank
I
you,
think
Bhavna.
I always love chatting with you.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.